Thanks for joining us today. I'm Nancy Furness, and this is We've Got Issues. And our interview today is taking place at City Centre Library in Coquitlam, and we're on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded lands of Coquitlam First Nation. So we'd like to thank the Coquitlam people who continue to live on these lands and to care for the lands and the waters and all that lies above and below. So today I'm joined by Claire McLean, who is the CEO of Share Family and Community Services. So thanks so much for joining us today, Claire.
It's my pleasure.
Well, Share is a really well-known name in the Tri-Cities. You've been around since 1972, and you have just had a really exciting fundraiser to support some of the many programs that you do in the Tri-Cities. Can you tell us, just start us off with a little bit about the fundraiser. How did it go?
Thanks. It was amazing. The theme was the Yellow Brick Road, There's No Place Like Home. So pulling on that famous Wizard of Oz theme that the team put together, but really also talking about the fact that, you know, community is built together, and we all, you know, that wonderful transition that happens in the Wizard of Oz from black and white to Technicolor when everybody realizes their own gifts have kind of always been within, you know, that really speaks to what we do at Share. It's about helping people realize their inner courage and bravery and smarts and all those things. And so it was a really lovely night. We had wonderful members of the community together, amazing restaurants. You know, we always have local restaurant partners that are a part of it. So lots of fun, dancing. Our sponsor, our presenting sponsor was Wesbild, who've been doing it for so long now and just always step up. So we were really thrilled to be able to bring the community together and raise some money that we need to do our services.
Well, it sounds like a wonderful evening, and There's No Place Like Home, I think, really is a good description of what Share tries to do.
Absolutely.
And I think we have a clip of the event to show folks, so we'll go ahead and do that.
So it is my pleasure to introduce Share's CEO, Claire McLean.
Thank you so much for being here tonight. When I meet someone new and they ask what I do for a living, I'm always so excited to tell them about Share and what I get to do here. And I talk about how Share has served this community for the past 52 years. I talk about how our team helps 24,000 people every year. Isolated seniors who are struggling to live on their own, toddlers who need help learning to walk and to talk, young people burdened with anxiety and depression, refugees and newcomers desperate to make a new life for themselves, and families who can't afford a safe home or healthy food. I tell people about how the need for our programs increased during the COVID-19 pandemic and hasn't slowed down since. The demand for our food bank is up by 48% this past year alone. Our counseling services are seeing 15% more clients than last year. Share's children and youth programs serve 30% more families, and demand for our legal advocacy supports was up 70% from last year. But perhaps the most worrying statistic is that in this past year, we intervened with 436 clients because they were at imminent risk of harming themselves or committing suicide. And that is an increase of 103% since the year before. Usually it's around this point that I notice that I've lost them. Their eyes are a little wide, a little bit glazed over. And then I can literally hear the wheels clacking as they try and get away from me and find someone else to talk to. And it's heavy stuff, that's fair. But there's something else that I think creates this disconnect. And it's because they think everything that I just told you has nothing to do with them. They think that they're protected. And there's a part of me, probably the mom part of me, that doesn't want to prove them wrong. But they are wrong. And I'm learning that it isn't kindness to let someone believe in something that isn't true. Love is telling ourselves and telling our people the truth. The distance that lies between any of us in this room tonight and the people that Cher serves every single day is as much an illusion as the wizard created for Oz. We are all vulnerable. Pain and loss can come and do come at any time. It doesn't matter what riches we've stored up, how much education or training we've pursued, how fit we are, how many followers we have on social media, or how many people we love. Absolutely none of that provides us with an immunity to loss and to pain. And who wants to be reminded of that reality? But here's the interesting thing. It is in that truth that the real magic lies. I'm not joyous because I am free from pain. I've had my heart broken these past years in ways I never even dreamed possible. I am joyous because I know now that there, even in the midst of deep pain, that there is love, and there is laughter, and there is light. I know that kitchen dance parties can happen in the midst of the worst Mondays, that buying precisely the right brand of biscuits is what's going to bring a smile to a Cher senior's face, and that the baby in Cher's weight room will always bless me with a giggle if I make a goofy enough face at them. I'm not grateful because I don't see the injustice and the ineptitude. I see them with a clarity and a starkness that can be daunting. I am grateful because where some people might see a ragged homeless man waiting at Cher's food bank, I see the gentleman who on our last snow day, without having to be asked, helped me shovel the path so that our clients could get safely to their head for food. I'm not hopeful because I'm oblivious of the battle, the very uphill battle that so many of our clients face. I'm hopeful because when I walk into work in the mornings, sometimes there's a young man there in a Toronto Raptors jersey who greets me. He struggles quite a bit to make friends and to stay in school, but with the help of his Cher team, he's always trying. And even though it's quite hard for him to look me in the eyes when we chat, he makes sure to give me an update on how the season's shaping up when I see him, and why we never should have left tomorrow, and why go. And anyone who can trash that ball like that young man has a bright future ahead, I think. I'm not energized because I never get tired. The truth is, this past year has exhausted me. I'm energized and somewhat relentless, my husband might say. Because every time I feel too tired to keep going, someone on my team steps forward. They give my own advice back to me, along with their own words of wisdom, and I rest for a moment, knowing that things are in brilliant hands. Every time I feel too tired to keep going, someone from this community steps forward. A donor who simply says, "What do you need?" A local artist who shares their amazing creativity and time at our summer camps, our first responders who come every single time that we ask. And so tonight, that is the truth. The need for Cher services has never been greater, and our community has never been more ready to meet that challenge. So I thank you all so much for being here. I thank you for choosing to be a part of what makes this community absolute magic. Thank you.
You're going to make some differences in the lives of people in the Tri-Cities. So we're going to build the Yellow Brick Road together, okay? Our goal tonight, in this segment right here, the power of community, we are going to see it.
It's starting
Look at this, it's already started.
Amazing.
We want to raise,
Jennifer
give her a big round of
thank
applause. She's
you.
our first one to come up here. We'll get started here. So, we're going to get started with the $5,000. We've got some other developers in here. I know we do. We've got some other developers in here. We've got some VIP tables around here. I don't want to mention any names, but we do have some, table 2. So as you make your way up, we thank you in advance. Okay? If you want to donate $3,000 will help Cher in what way?
It will advise our milk budget for every month.
So the Rotary Club of Coquitlam has stepped up to donate, count it, $10,000. That is outstanding. Thank so much. We appreciate your support. We'll get you to take some pictures there. Okay, so we talked about $100. Somebody has got to have $50 in their pocket. $50, what will that do?
$50 will help us buy all the supplies for our English language practice groups. So these are groups in a time where our community can get so divided, where things are so polarizing. People are coming together, they're sharing their cultures. That'll buy all our supplies.
Okay, again, $50. It's not a whole lot of money, but it goes so far. $20,000 or $25. I want to get those yellow slips off your table and up on our road. $54,500. Give yourself a big round of applause. Let's go.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Claire. And thank you, everyone, for donating. You really, really stepped up. Thanks you individually, corporately, it doesn't really matter. Thank you so much. Look at that yellow brick road. That's pretty spectacular. Now we will open up the bar. Everyone excited about that? Well done.
So that looked like it was a great event.
Thank you. Yeah, our next one year, March 8th, so people can mark their calendars.
Excellent. We can look forward to it again next year. Claire, can you tell us a little bit about some of the programs that the fundraiser is going to support? I know you do a wide variety of programs. If you could just tell us a little bit about a few of them, I think we'd love to hear.
That's right. We're really fortunate that we are here to provide lots of different services to the community. And many of those receive government funding, but it's not enough. It's not enough to serve the number of people that need help and to provide the whole breadth of services that we want to give people. And so the funding helps, fill those holes. And then there's some programs that don't receive any government funding at all. So obviously the food bank is a big one that is not funded by government, but the numbers keep climbing.
Very important.
100%, So a lot of the money goes towards the food bank. But we have other programs too. We have programs like the English language practice group, some of which run right here in the library, and other places across the community where people can come together, exchange information about their cultures, and have a really safe, welcoming place to learn English.
How many languages do you cover? Like, I know we have a very diverse community. Can you give us some examples of the languages that are available?
Absolutely. We have, and that group is an amazing small and mighty staff team that run it, and then a crew of volunteers. And we couldn't do it without our volunteers. And so we've got, Korean language, we've got Farsi, we've got all sorts, Cantonese, all sorts of different folks coming to come and learn English. And to share their cultural backgrounds as well. It's a really, I think, especially in a time where things can be so divisive, having people be able to learn about one another and learn, whether they're from, the Ukraine, whether they're from Afghanistan, whether they're from any different part of the world, to be able to come together and, share information and have a fun space to learn is such a great opportunity.
And I think it's a kind of a step into the community too, where it sounds like it's very inclusive and supportive. And being able to communicate in your own language is probably something of great comfort to, people that are facing new situations as well.
Absolutely. And it goes multi-generational. We have folks coming who are actually, they've lived in the community for decades, but they're grandparents now. And they see their grandchildren are speaking English perhaps more than their first language, and so they want to improve their English skills. And so it's beautiful, really, when you get the different generations coming together. And so services like that, I think that's what SHARE is here to do. It's a smaller program, it's a quieter program, I would say, but that's what makes community healthy. It's what makes community vibrant. And if we don't raise money to do it, then it's not able to sustain itself.
Right. And can we talk a little bit about the food bank? You mentioned the food bank. How many people are using the food bank, and who's using it now?
Sadly, we've got new folks coming every week. Our numbers have never been higher. We're serving over 5,000 people a month. Regularly, absolutely. And I would say a couple things. One of the biggest changes has been that we are, obviously we continue to see our seniors, we continue to serve folks that are unhoused or living rough, students, single income households, single moms, but we have a lot of families coming now where both parents are working. Wow. they're both working, they're both employed, and they still can't make ends meet given the cost of housing and the cost of living right now. And so it's really critical that that program is well funded. You know, we are very intent on providing healthy food to people. You know, we want every family leaving, you know, I'm a mom, you know, I make sure my kids, you know, they get their fruit and veg.
It's hard enough anyway, right?
That's right. And, you know, it's these kids, you know, they deserve just as healthy a meal as anybody else. And so they're leaving with milk and eggs and meat, and we're going to keep that up no matter what the numbers are.
So now you were saying that there's government funding for some things, but not for things like the food bank. Who supports the food bank? Where do you get the supplies and the funds to source that?
It's a great question. So certainly, you know, the public is the main answer to that. You know, people donate, and we are incredibly reliant and grateful for their support. Food Banks Canada and Food Banks BC do an incredible job supporting all food banks across the province and getting corporate donors and sometimes government grants as well that filter down, which is amazing. I have to absolutely acknowledge Wesbild as well in our community. They actually provide the building that we deliver our food bank out of in Port Moody. They've done that for over 20 years for us. Just an incredible display of corporate philanthropy and support.
Well, it's a huge benefit to have a stable building. Whereabouts is it?
In Port Moody, our space is right on Clark Street, so it's you know, nice and close to SkyTrain pretty much, and yeah, that's where we deliver our services there. But then we also partner with Hillside Community Church and Trinity Church in Port Coquitlam, Hillside and Coquitlam, so that those sites are close and accessible for people in those communities. So again, just couldn't do it without the community coming together, for sure.
Now, you had mentioned something about unhoused people. Do you provide any support services or programs that would apply to that portion of our population?
Absolutely. I mean, certainly the food bank is there, and we make sure we have food items that are easy for our folks that don't have a home to access. You know, they don't need can openers and things like that, so we take care of that. But it's also about things like we have a program called our Legal Advocacy Services, and so that staff team, again, small and mighty, but they help folks apply for different assistance programs through the government, disability assistance, even things like getting an ID. That can be a real barrier for people. You know, if you don't have an ID, it's hard to access these other programs. You have to pay to get an ID. So we can support for that paperwork, for the financial process of it, just really making sure that some of those barriers that exist, that we can take them away as much as possible.
I think you're right. There's barriers there that we don't normally see, you know, being housed and having those services available to us, and to have somebody to advocate, I think, is huge. So how about seniors?
Yeah, you know, our seniors is a growing population in the Tri-Cities, and so we want to make sure we're taking care of them too. We provide housing to seniors, so we do
you provide housing?
We do. We've got 388 units of affordable housing across the Tri-Cities, which we're hoping to grow with the help of the provincial and federal partners for sure. But some of that housing is specific to seniors for sure, which is really important. But we also provide things like transportation to medical appointments, you know, light housekeeping at home, grocery ordering and grocery delivery, things like that, to help seniors who want to stay in their own homes and live independently, to really just help them live independently for as long as possible.
That's super important, and it's nice to hear that there is some support from different levels of government as well. How about counseling services? It sounds like you're dealing with a lot of folks that, you know, can use supports of various types. Is there any counseling services involved there?
Absolutely. So we do counseling throughout the lifespan. We've got play therapy for our little ones that need a little 100%, you know, which is a great thing, I think. If, you know, kids are struggling and parents are struggling to know how to help them, we have the whole family supported through different counseling programs. And then, you know, individual counseling all the way through. I think one of our oldest clients is in their 90s, which is amazing. We've got some services that are specific to addiction, whether gambling addiction or substance use challenges, but then also just general counseling services as well for other challenges, for sure.
I just have one quick question, if you won't mind answering. How did this all start? Like, who started SHARE? You've been here since 1972. where did it come from?
So Gertie Grocer is where it came from. So Gertie is a phenomenal legacy in our community. She came together with other neighbors when they noticed that folks didn't have winter jackets in the community.
Started from that.
That's right. She started a clothing collection. She also started one of the first recycling programs in the community. She was just a real dynamo. And so she just has a real legacy in this community. And certainly, you know, I think the amazing thing I find about Share is that, you know, as I am out in the community and meet people, everybody has a story about it. People talk about volunteering there in high school, or they'll say, you know, oh, my mom volunteered, or my kid is volunteering through their high school. You know, there's so many layers of connection because it's been in the community so long, and it just makes us stronger, I think, we're really grateful for that.
Definitely a big part of our community. Can you tell us, you had mentioned about volunteers. Do you have volunteer opportunities, and what might they be?
Yes, please. We would love drivers right now. So we always need drivers to help get our seniors to appointments, to help deliver food hampers. You know, it's a real struggle when you see people coming to the food bank and they've just struggled to get there on public transit. They may have physical challenges. They may be our seniors.
And now they've got a bag full of stuff.
And we load them down. You know, we're doing our best. We want to give them so much stuff. It's heavy. It's hard for them to maneuver. If we can deliver food hampers, it's such a gift. But we need folks to be able to do that and do it reliably. So drivers would be huge. If anybody, even if it's just a couple hours every week, you know, that would be great. English language practice groups as well are always looking for facilitators, so that's a great one.
So do you have to be bilingual, or?
No, absolutely not. Just English language. Yeah, just a willingness, and we've got staff that'll help them put together the lesson plans and things like that. So yeah, absolutely. It's a really fun one. And then the food bank, of course, is always looking for support as well. But yeah, I would really encourage drivers, people too, if there's any handy people out there. You know, we always are looking for folks that can do just light repairs, you know, fixing a little bit of light bulbs and, you know, just different things, a leaky faucet that a senior might not be able to handle themselves. If there's anyone that wants to do a couple hours a week, that would be amazing.
So it sounds like, Claire, you've got volunteer opportunities for pretty much anybody.
We do. Yeah, we do.
Can you tell us how people would get in touch with you?
Absolutely. So if you go on sharesociety.ca, our website, there's a take action link right there, and there's a form you can complete or an email, or you can just send a message to our general email or give us a call as well. We're always happy to take note of volunteers for sure.
Well, it sounds wonderful. Thank you so much for coming in and talking to us today. I really appreciate it.
Pleasure, Nancy. Thank you.
So thanks for joining us. We've been talking to Claire McLean, the CEO from Share, and she has told us about a lot of volunteer opportunities. So if you are interested, please reach out and contact her. Thank you.